about you? Oh, everybody, hello, welcome to the Sandbox Podcast. It's a platform where we learn to lead well with other leaders. Got a good topic for you today. Glad you're here. Come on, boys, let's do it now. Coming to you live from the good land, it is your boy Tyler Richardson, and we are pumped as per usual that you are with us today. Happy New Week. We decided we're going to start switching up a little bit when we do these. We'll still do a podcast every other week, but we're going to now start releasing them on the Monday with that awesome little catchphrase, Happy New Week. So it's brand new. Happy New Year is over. We're done with it. We left it in 2018. 2019 is all about Happy New Week. So, pass it on to your friends. Make sure you tell them that we came up with it, and slip us a 20 and we'll all be best friends. So, moving on, today we're going to talk about something called Voldemort Leadership 101. All right, Voldemort Leadership 101. Now, if you are unfamiliar with this term, it's actually a name, not a term, but maybe either way you're unfamiliar with it. Our subject today, Voldemort, comes from a book / movie / theme park thing called Harry Potter. Maybe you've read it, seen it, maybe you care, maybe you think it's witchcraft, maybe you think it's awesome, whatever playing field you're on. We are not Harry Potter supporters per se, but for the sake of the argument for this example, there's a villain in the story of Harry Potter, and that villain's name is Voldemort. Now, through majority of the saga, they don't really say his name often that much. And when they bring him up, they use a phrase called "he who shall not be named." Or if somebody tries to bring up his name, they'll go, no, like, you know who, like, don't even say his name. And it's a very, like, taboo subject because of so much fear that he instills in people. And I would like to relate that to a specific type of people group, either in our organizations or in our teams or whatever, of people. Maybe you've been at the water cooler, maybe walking through the hallways, something, and a certain individual that used to be either with that team in a very specific place of leadership or whatever is no longer there, and their name gets brought up in either an old story or maybe you saw them at the grocery store or whatever, and there's an automatic tension that takes place. And usually there's some type of catchphrase that kind of surrounds that moment of, oh yeah, we don't talk about them. We don't talk about that situation. We don't talk about, when they were here or all that kind of stuff. And so when I say Voldemort Leadership 101, what I'm really talking about is honestly the people who are no longer around us, leading in the capacities that they used to lead in, and how now even their very name is awkward to talk about. And this is why I think this is a big deal, because again, we're not just trying to learn how to lead people, we're learning how to lead leaders. And so if you're leading a whole bunch of leaders around you, you're not only just all moving forward together, but you're all growing at different capacities together. So somebody who's leading one thing now in 5 years may be, leading way at a higher capacity than they thought they originally would. So we're not only growing out, but we're growing up and growing even deep. And when that's happening, you're teaching leaders simultaneously as you're leading them how they need to act as leaders when they get in their positions where they lead vaster and wilder and in this great horizon of leadership. So I think that's why it matters. And it's a really touchy situation, obviously, because of the things, it's awkward, we don't really know how to handle it. And usually in especially in church life, but even in organizations and just plain business, there's so many reasons why some people leave, or not even why they leave the organization, but why they leave the seat they were once in, and they've decided they wanted to pour their passions into this, or maybe they decided they wanted more time at home, so they switched around what they put their focus in so they could accommodate that. And there's so many subconscious conversations and sidebar conversations that happen that we try to fill in the blanks. And when we fill in the blanks with our subconscious, I think we leave open spaces for all of us to really not be able to mention people, even to a situation where we're like, oh yeah, we don't talk about so-and-so, we don't mention it. We make it almost not on purpose most cases, but we almost villainize people to the point of we don't even allow the leaders and the people who work around us to even feel comfortable mentioning their names, even a positive story, or hey, I saw them, they're still alive, they're, their kids are growing up. Like, even good stories feel inappropriate. And I want to kind of talk about some things I think we can do as leaders to kind of fight that. I think one of the first thing is you kind of have to address the chatter that happens, especially in the early days of, maybe it's a pastor that leaves your church and has been appointed to another church, or maybe a singer on a praise team, used to do choir and praise team, but now they really just kind of want to do the choir because they don't like having to come to all the rehearsals. Or maybe somebody who used to be over a specific marketing project, decides that, this isn't really for them, and they actually shine better when it comes to like the focus group angle. So they kind of pull out of this team to kind of more plug into that team. And there's always these like, well, why did they do this? Well, I heard it was because of this. And sometimes the reasons are dramatic and they're just dramatic. And then in some cases, they're not dramatic at all, but because we don't address the chatter, um, it kind of creates this whole like monster of a topic that I think subconscious is a lot like snow, where it goes down a hill and it builds momentum and it gets bigger, and then it builds more momentum, and then more, just like more snow and more snow and more snow, just like in the old Disney Goofy cartoons, where the snowball, as it goes down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I think our subconscious does that. And I think a lot of times we even say more with our subconscious glances to one another than we even do with, hey, so what happened to Bill? Well, I think Bill went down to, all that kind of stuff. I think it does the same snowball effect as it did with our subconscious. So I think as leaders, we have to address that and be like, listen, we love everybody. They need to do this. And, we don't. Sometimes when you don't talk about it, you make something that's not sketchy appear sketchy. And anybody who thinks something is sketchy, you'll want to know more sketchy stuff. It's just, it's like a Butterfinger. Have you ever had one Butterfinger chocolate bar and been like, I love that first bite, I don't want the rest? Absolutely not. If you're like me, you cram as much as you can put in your mouth until your wife has to calm you down, and then it's like frozen to your teeth, and then like you're sticking like your fingers trying to like with your small fingernails to try and get the chocolate out of your teeth, but now it's like formed this whole like other version of a tooth and you can't get it out. That is often a lot what it's like with subconscious rumors that are left to just run wild in your imagination planes. So I think one thing is we have to address that chatter, and we have to like silence it and make it look like it's not the big deal. That maybe it is, but it doesn't have to be the big deal that derails all of us. Um, I think another thing is because you have to make a plan with those who are around you. Again, sometimes it's not somebody who just leaves your organization and just completely leaves and they move to Texas and you never see them again. Sometimes it's somebody who just moves down the hall or to a different hall in the same building. You have to figure out how to keep everybody kind of living in normalcy, because I think the biggest thing oftentimes that we trip up is we value the production of the person more than the person. Okay, we value the production that that person gives more than the actual person giving the production. And when you feel that, uh, it's very easy for somebody who feels like maybe they need to transition out, or maybe it's interesting kind of blending business world with church world, because it can be so many different things. Because even in my life, I've been the one who's had to deal with drama and the one causing the drama. And I know when you're in both seats at different times, it's very interesting because in one when you're causing the drama, it's very easy, because if you feel like you're not being handled correctly, that everybody's just used you all these years and they've just used your talents, and they didn't really care about your dreams, and they didn't really care that you worked hard, and all that kind of stuff. And you kind of, where you should kind of feel a little bit more sorrow, you feel a little bit more angst and a little bit more um, aggression. And then when you're on the other side and you're having to deal with the one who's causing you drama, or the group that's causing you drama, you kind of think, well, now they're using me. They either wanted to use the position I had, or they wanted to use either the connections I had, and they said they wanted to do this, but maybe they were just trying to get above me. And then your, sorrow and all that kind of stuff also kind of begins to morph into aggression. But again, we don't talk. We don't open our mouths with the leaders around us, and even the people that we have, odd against. We don't talk. And I think it's in the silence where the damage is done. I don't think it's the fact of the drama, and I don't think it's necessarily in the fact that some people have to leave and some people have to transition to different stations. I think it's the fact of our silence in the middle of it. I think the middle silence is actually what the killer is. And it's not about really even if people leave, because I think in life, I think the older you get, you even realize that it's not so much if people leave or not. It's, is this an atmosphere and a group of people that if you leave, you would love to return to? Because more often than not, we find ourselves either talking to somebody who left a job, or talking to somebody who, maybe even left a church or whatever. And we're like, oh, well, how is things? Like, how are you liking the new job? Or how are you liking the new city? Or, all this kind of stuff. Is it different? And they're like, way too many times, I think we get the response of, "Oh yeah, I'm so glad I got out of there. Just these people, they, the people I'm with now, they get me, and before they didn't get me, and so now I'm so glad that people get me. There's just that stuff, and I think so often that's the case. Is not that now they get you and before they didn't get you. I think it's so often, if we really allowed space to talk and ask questions and just to be honest with each other and value people over the production of those people, I think we would find that people who leave would more often say things like, "Yeah, I really miss it. I mean, this is awesome. These people are great, but man, like, we were just a family, and we just, really stuck up for each other, and even, when we weren't working, we wanted to hang out, and all those things." And for real, not like you have to take pictures of yourself out to eat so people think that we're a family, because some people do that. It was a real, communal atmosphere. And I think you're not going to get the communal atmosphere that everybody's striving for unless you do the things that most people don't want to do. And again, most people don't want to talk. They don't want to have that awkward conversation, because they kind of, for some reason, leaders, we naturally assume that all of the leaders beside us are toddlers, like they're 4 years old, and they can't handle drama, and they can't handle a hard truth. They can't handle so and so had an attitude. This isn't working anymore. If they want to come back, that's fine. But if they come back, they're coming back without the attitude, because we're not going to babysit the attitude. They act like a leader beside us can't hear us say something that direct, that for some reason it will damage the core of who they are. And I think we can't really afford to treat people like toddlers, because they pick up on it. For some reason, when we assume we treat people like toddlers, we act like they don't know that they're being treated like toddlers. And if you've ever been talked to like a toddler, I'm almost positive it didn't go over your head. I'm pretty positive you knew you were being talked to like a toddler. So I think that's just something we really, in addition to talking, we just got to really be careful how we talk, and find ourselves really raising the bar of the people all around us, and raising the bar of humanity in those situations. I think you need to encourage people, for things that aren't attached to their work, specifically things that don't help you. If somebody leaves, I think you need to encourage the things they're doing, but also with the work aside, I think you need to encourage who they are. If they have a hobby, if now they're taking random paint classes, or maybe they are into photography, or maybe they're trying to start a business. Find ways to encourage people, because I think the underlining piece that so often we do not pay attention to, that so often trips us up, is we think that people do not notice the small stuff. So we think if somebody leaves our church, what we need to do is we need to have this giant parade, and we got to have, the pictures of the people that are leaving on the walls, and we have to, bring a band in, and we have to write this song about, friends, friends forever. We have to do all of this stuff to let people know we care. And although some of those things may be appropriate and they may be very helpful and beneficial, I have found what really affects people is the ability to do small things and to do small things well. I don't think, you know, me personally, if let's say the listener, you and me had some falling out. Well, I don't unless we used to get tacos every Tuesday. Why would I get tacos every Tuesday with you now? So I don't want us to just naturally think, well, encouragement means I got to spend a whole lot of time being really fake, and I got to make sure that when we go get tacos, I put it on Insta story, and everybody knows that I don't hate you and that you don't hate me, and that we're all a big family, and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's that. I think it's this, and I know this sounds silly, but something as dumb and as small as liking Instagram posts and commenting a heart emoji and love this or whatever. Something so small and stupid really does something, because not doing that, because I've seen a lot of people who've either left big organizations or small businesses or tight-knit communities or whatever, and how often the statement will get thrown around, they used to like all my posts and now they don't like any of my posts, and they used to do all this on social media and now they don't do all of this. And although that sounds very trivial and stupid, I think a lot of times as leaders we have to teach those leading around us that it's better to be somebody who allows everybody to exhale instead of hold our breath. Somebody who allows all of us to exhale instead of hold your breath. So if you were like best friends on social media and now you're just a ghost on social media, I never hear from you, I never see you or whatever, that's more dramatic and allows me, if I see you, to hold my breath in like a very like angsty, anxious, where do we stand? Then if we've just kind of kept normal, not like, oh my gosh, you're so funny, ha 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 ha, I can't wait to see you again, not being fake, but just doing such small, subtle things to keep normalcy that allows all of us to exhale. So then when we do see each other, it's not awkward. Us giving each other a hug, hey, how you been? There's nothing abnormal there, because we've allowed space for all of us to breathe and relax. Does that make sense? Again, being a leader who allows the leaders around you to exhale instead of hold their breath when it comes to a controversial topic or even a controversial individual or sometimes group of individuals. If you're on the side of the drama, if you're on the side having to dealing with the people with the drama, even in those moments, being somebody who can allow and demand a moment of exhale, because when you're leading those moments, you are in control. They're waiting to and looking to you to see, are you going to be the one who takes the bull by the horns and be like, listen, we're going to exhale, we're not going to hold our breath. Yes, this isn't the most opportune situation. Yes, they've left and gone to a different place down the hall, and we counted on them a lot, and maybe this is a moment where we're realizing that we counted on them too much. So now we're going to have to adjust, and and kind of, so some of you who didn't take as much responsibility are going to have to take a little more. All of those things that seem so small and insignificant. And sometimes you kind of feel like you're treating people like toddlers in the negative, where you're like, I don't want to hold people's hand and kind of walk them through this stuff that should be, common sense. I don't think it's about, again, treating people like they're dumb. I think it's about the power of addressing this. Because if I have the confidence to address it, then I surely have the confidence to deal with it. It's the yieldedness to address it that makes it look like you have a lack of confidence to deal with it. And what leader wants to follow another leader who doesn't have confidence? You know what I'm saying? And attitude to me doesn't cross off as confidence. I think that's often a range that gets skewed, is you thinking you having attitude and being able to tell it like it is equal to confidence. I don't believe that's so. I don't believe you being able to tell me like it is, which means you're allowed to be rude to me because you put it under the umbrella of honesty, is is in reality confidence. I think it's again raising up the level of humanity, for you are a person, not just a production that a person does for me. Which means when you are when you're no longer useful to me, how do I treat you? When you no longer are making me look good, how do I treat you? And then the thing is, it's what we say so often. It's the tale of two tests. Even for me, when you know when you're no longer making me look good, how do I treat you? When I'm no longer making you look good, how do I treat you? Do the whole oh, I bet you wish I was still there. Oh, I bet you wish I hadn't gone down the hall. Bet you wish I hadn't gone to another church. Bet you wish this. Bet you wish that. Bet you wish this. It's those things. It's raising the level of humanity on both sides. Again, this comes from me, somebody who's been on the side of the one doing the drama and the one on the side having to handle the people who have done the drama. And when you've juggled both of those worlds, I think it's easier to see that, it's the lack of talk, it's the lack of communication, all of those things that in the silent damage is done. And then something that could have just, even if it was dramatic situation, something that could have just been a boat that treaded water is now just a sunk Titanic. It is just beyond sunk. And again, people, even if people leave, people go, whatever, it's a situation of, is this an environment where people would love to come back? And I think that's the thing. Let's not be a people who if somebody decides they want to follow a path that is no longer our path, or if they want to follow something else down the hall that's no longer in our hall, and now they're in advertising, but we were in marketing, and now you want to be in the choir, but you used to be on praise and worship, and you used to be in the worship department, now you want to be in the discipleship department, and it's just all of these things. Are we a people who allow common space to raise humanity and to raise the level of, you are a person before you're a performer? You are way beyond your production value for me. You are a human being, and we don't have to be best friends. That's something I really want to emphasize. It's not about being fake, and now everybody has to think that you couldn't live your life without 20 people in your building. It's the idea of everybody is a human. We give everybody space. We're honest. We are confident without being rude and unnecessary. And we see the better come out of it. So, does that make sense? That is your Voldemort Leadership 101. Be people who allow open conversation, and be somebody who is not afraid to have the conversation. Again, without being rude, without being unnecessary. Without being rude and without being unnecessary. Are you somebody who takes confidence, takes control, and shows everybody that, come hell or high water, we're all in this together, we're on the same team. Even if you're on a team down the street, if you're a team on the other side of the country or in another continent, we're all on the same team because we're human beings, sons and daughters of the living God, and it's awesome. So, hope this has helped. Follow us on Instagram, at Harp and Ball. You got our Sandbox group on Facebook under Tyler Richardson and Harp and Ball on there. Check us out. We have so much coming. I am seriously so excited for what we have coming. We have devotionals coming. We have team exercises coming. All kinds of stuff. We love you guys. The best is coming. You don't even know about it. And let's all remember to play nice in the sandbox.